Hello and welcome to another episode of Atomic Vinyl Reviews. My name's Jacob and today we're jumping right into some spoiler territory about the upcoming movie Godzilla vs. Kong, due to come out sometime at the end of 2020. So I will advise you guys, if you don't want spoilers for the movie, don't be watching this video. Now these spoilers aren't the most newest spoilers out there. There are a couple of other people that have already covered this stuff. It's been floating around on the internet for at least maybe about a week as far as I know. That said, still spoilers for the movie. Personally, I've seen the spoilers and they don't seem to ruin my excitement for the movie or anything like that, but still, I appreciate those people who really want to go into a movie not knowing anything, because that's always awesome. It's just, I'm so active on all the Godzilla pages and stuff like that, in the fan groups and stuff like that, that I'm pretty sure I would have come across this eventually, just in my day-to-day browsing, so I figured, you know what, I'll see the spoilers and maybe I'll do a video about it, and that's why we're here. So, remember, spoilers, I warned you guys, stop watching now if you don't want to know anything more about film coming up. Well, there's a little thing that I can tell you that's not a spoiler. I've heard rumors that we're likely to get a trailer to drop sometime in April. It's April now, so sometime in April, at latest early May. So yeah, fingers crossed we'll get a trailer soon for the upcoming film. I'm really excited for that, so cross, let's hope. Anyway, let's dive right into these spoilers. What these are is a bunch of photos of figures that have been released of various kaiju and different things from this new film. These aren't like, you know, those fancy collectibles and nothing, and they're toys, basically. And for most of the sites that these have been placed on, Warner Brothers have tried to remove them, basically, for copyright reasons and to try and keep them on the hush-hush. But, you know, they're floating around everywhere, so they're pretty easy to find. So let's get right into them and talk about them. So in here we've got all the little photos here. Let's take a look. So all you people who don't want spoilers, you better be gone now, because you're treading in deep water. Okay, let's start off with some of the basic figures. So we got some basic figures of Godzilla. Here's Godzilla and Kong and some other kaiju. Here's two figures of Godzilla and Kong, a Kong figure, another Godzilla figure, and a bunch of figures in a display case. So these figures are made by Playmates. They did the action figures for the Peter Jackson's King Kong film that came out in 2005. They've been a bit low-key since then, so I don't really know what they've been up to, but you know, these toys look about on par to the figures that were made by Jakks Pacific figures that we got for King of the Monsters. It's weird. Every one of these films seems to have a different company doing the figures. You had Bandai doing the toys for Godzilla 2014, Jakks Pacific doing all the toys for what's it called, King of the Monsters, and now we have Playmates doing them for Godzilla vs. Kong. So very inconsistent, but you know what you gonna do. So they're very sort of basic children's toy-like figures, nothing that fantastic. But they do reveal quite a bit of information about the film. So let's just jump right into them. We'll just do them in whatever order that we've got them in here. So this is the first one. This is just your basic Godzilla figure. You can see he looks pretty much identical. Now, I'm really sorry about the quality of this image. These images that are floating around are in really shitty quality, so I don't know if there's a better one out there. I don't really feel like fishing around for another one, but this is what I got. And yeah, it has some sort of a watermark over it. I don't really care what that is. But we got our Godzilla. He's got our bright blue dorsal spines. And he comes with a effects piece, a beam, which is awesome. And this figure looks very, very similar, again, like these Jakks Pacific ones. I don't know the scaling of this one. He might be in a 6-inch scale. There's a little hand in this little photo here. So he does look to be in this sort of 30-centimeter range. So very similar to this guy right here, which is the large Jakks Pacific one. The big thing on this figure is he comes battle damaged, and holy shit, like the detailing on this is really, really bad. But if you look at that little tiny image there, see that massive red gash across his chest where somebody's pulling off a piece of plastic off of his chest? That looks really brutal, and you can see it on the figure here as well, so that looks brutal as hell. That's not fun. Not fun at all, so that's really interesting there. So a big gash across his chest, your basic sort of legendary pictures style Godzilla, same spines and everything as the previous film, so that all looks the same. This one's the one that spoils the least. At the very least, we're gonna assume that he gets a big gash across his chest. I mean, these are, you know, children's toys. They can, like, if you look at a lot of the Jurassic Park toys, they have, like, gashes and wounds and stuff sometimes that weren't in the film. They're just there to make the figure more interesting, so that's possible too. But since we don't have a trailer or nothing yet, we can at least assume that there is a high possibility that Godzilla is going to get messed up in the chest to a certain degree, and that'll become more evident as we go through these figures. Let's jump to our next figure here, or next group of figures, and that is Nozuki. Nozuki here is some sort of new kaiju. One that we haven't seen before, but one that resembles the same sort of type of weird kaiju that we would have seen in, what's it called? We would have seen it in the graphic novel that was like the prequel to the Godzilla 2014 film. I don't remember what that one was called, but there was some sort of weird kaiju in that film that looked eerily similar to this thing, so maybe they are related. This image is so freaking blurry, I can't really make out this kaiju all that well. Like, there's where its facial features would be, you'd assume. And I can't, for the life of me, tell what the hell I'm looking at here. It's a blur. It's a literal blur. But he does, you definitely can tell, it's some sort of thing with a big frill or these wing-like membranes and a long snake-like tail and some sort of a face there. I can't tell if it's like a reptilian type face or a bat-like face or if it's just a freaking void. I don't know. These images are terrible. But that's fine with me. I'm not actively going out to be spoiled about this film, so I don't really mind either way. And see, this one's also battle damaged. So it does have a winglet segment, which I believe is coming out of this wing here. On its left wing, but from our perspective, the right wing. So there's a big chunk that would have been cut out there. So that's also interesting. All of these ones seem to be battle damaged. And it looks like these are all four of these main figures that we're getting, which is Godzilla with his beam. We got Kong, which I'm going to show you in a second. And here we have a Skullcrawler. So that's very cool. We don't have a lot of great Skullcrawler figures out there, so I'm really excited for this one. Because, you know, Skullcrawlers are cool. We don't have a better photo of this one, I don't think, at least in the batch that I've got here. But yeah, Skullcrawler figure seems to be confirmed, and there's Nozuki. So, you know, Japanese sounding name. Perhaps if we, like, jump onto the old internet and we maybe type Nozuki in, we'll find something. Not saying very much more. These images seem just about as bad. There's some fan art which shows it as like just a snake. So is Atiori always pulling theories out of her ass? So yeah, it looks like people are assuming that this thing's gonna be like a snake. So that's interesting. Anyway, let's get back to Thingy. Okay, now we're moving along from those figures. So, you know, Nozuki seems to be, like, since it's getting its own figure, it seems to be like it might play a prominent role in the film. Same with the Skullcrawler, so that is really interesting. But here we got two figures called Megakong and Mechagodzilla. So what that means, I'm not entirely sure. We'll get to Godzilla in a sec, because that's where things get really interesting. But Megakong, it probably might just be like a really big figure. That might just be what it is. I'm not sure if it's necessarily something that's going to be tied into the film, like they go into mega mode or something. So that's kind of interesting. Let's see. Yeah, I can't make out any of the writing here. It is really freaking blurry. I'm sorry, guys. I wish these images were better. But the interesting thing here is Mechagodzilla. Not Mechagodzilla, Mechagodzilla. He's got a bunch of weird mechanical shit on him. And he's got like a button here by the looks of it. Both of these have like this little person-shaped doohickey here with some sort of text. I don't know what that says. This is probably, if we could read this, that would probably give some big spoilers, because this probably explains something. I have no idea, but yeah, he has like some weird scaffolding stuff across him. Maybe it's like a control device. Maybe they're doing the old Godzilla is under human control kind of a trick or something. Or maybe, probably more likely, this leads into our biggest reveal from all of these things, which I'll get to in a little bit. But yeah, interesting figures. I also wonder what scale these are in, because there's no pictures of people's hands on the side here, so we can't really picture the scale. But it would be really cool if these are just massive figures. That'd be awesome, because I love big Godzilla figures. Here we have our Solo Kong figure, and this is also one that has a battle damage feature. You can see he has a big gash across his arm here, also looking very, very painful. But a cool thing that this figure comes with is he comes with a huge axe. So that's really interesting. Kong has his own huge axe, and I've had some people say that this axe blade looks like it's made of one of Godzilla's spines, which is entirely possible. That might be the case. I really wish this Kong would have come with a giant tree, because if this movie doesn't have a scene where Kong gets a tree and tries to shove it up Godzilla's mouth, like he did in the original King Kong vs. Godzilla film, then I'm going to be royally disappointed, because that was the best scene in that movie ever, and it deserves its own tribute. It really, really does. If ever there was an Easter egg that they could put in this film, it would be that scene. But yeah, this figure doesn't tell us much. We got Kong just looking very grumpy here. Those big arms, very, very similar design to what he looked like in, you know, the original Kong Skull Island film. I can actually kind of see if he looks any different than this Mega Kong, because like there've been like some concept art and stuff released or something from this Kong, or what he would look like in this film, and he had like this really big beardy chin. So I'm kind of wondering if this one has that big chin, whereas this one's more the sort of typical Kong. But they both kind of look generally really similar to the Kong that we got in Skull Island. So yeah, very, very, very sort of simple look for Kong. Monster vs. Kong, the legendary Playmates Toho. This one doesn't reveal a lot, unfortunately, but we do know he's going to use an axe, which is really cool, because, you know, making weapons, that's going to be really interesting to see against Godzilla. Okay, here's where shit hits the fan. Here's where stuff gets real. So this is a big display case somewhere, God knows where. Here we have that figure of Mechagodzilla here. This is just an empty box where Kong should be. There's a regular Kong there, I think. There's Mega Kong, and there's a Godzilla. I'm not sure. It's probably just the regular one there. There's a couple of smaller figures here. But look at this. This right here. This right here. This right here. These didn't appear in any of the other images. And what do you think these things are going to be? Come on, guys. You know what these are. The freaking Mechagodzilla. Freaking Mechagodzilla. Look at that. I mean, he looks like a skeleton. Pretty much like a skeleton with these big mechanical arms. Weird proportions too. Like, I feel like the shoulders start way too close to his head in these figures, just from what I'm seeing here. It looks kind of awkward. I know these are really god-awful images of this version of Mechagodzilla. That these are, you know, children's toys, blurry photos taken from a distance in a glass cabinet with glare. So can't really interpret them that well. But that's definitely Mechagodzilla. And you know what else confirms this? Apparently there was also a leaked release of the upcoming figures in the Funko Pop Vinyl line of, you know, their upcoming Godzilla related figures. And there is going to be a bunch of figures from this film. There's going to be a bunch of variants of Kong, some variants of Godzilla. I think they're even going to have those massive ones, which if they do, oh my god, I'm going to get so goddamn quickly, which would be really cool. But they do have a Mechagodzilla release stated amongst those. So I don't know how credible that is, but combined with this, that's looking pretty damn possible. First Mechagodzilla that really comes to mind that would look really similar to this thing is that one that we got in that weird movie about in the video game world. So yeah, this is the Mechagodzilla from Ready Player One, which was probably the closest one that we've gotten to this sort of design. I'm curious how the one in the actual film is going to compare to this one. This one was heavily based off the 2014 design, so it would make sense that it would be really similar to this guy right here. But this one, I've heard rumors that they're thinking of doing something like the original Mechagodzilla, where they're gonna have him revealed to be Mechagodzilla later on. That initially he's gonna be covered in like artificial skin and stuff. And I was even thinking, because he looks so skeletal, maybe he could be built over the skeleton of that like other Godzilla that they found in the Philippines in a big hole in the beginning of Godzilla 2014. That one has a name, I don't remember it. Sorry, but something that they could definitely do is like a reference to Kiryu, and as a reference to the 74 Godzilla that was, the Mechagodzilla that was like hidden and pretending to be the real Godzilla. So that would be really awesome if they did that. But yeah, just looking at this thing, it does look like he could very well be covered in a skin, because look at his tail. His tail just, it looks like a skeleton basically, like a bone-like tail. He's got these big girder-like shapes for his arms here, which, you know, very thick arms, so I don't know how his arms would fit, but his legs could definitely fit in like a Godzilla's legs, and it would look like he would have spines that would come up above all this, because this just looks like a spine that barely comes to the height of normal Godzilla spines. So that's all really interesting. So yeah, Mechagodzilla in this film. Which also could tie into all this weird mechanical crap that Godzilla has on him in this Mega Godzilla figure, which is really interesting. We can kind of get a good scaling for these figures, so it looks like both Mega Godzilla and Mega Kong. These ones are all the big figures, which I'm assuming are going to be close to this height. But over here we have a littler Godzilla in this box here and here, and all of these other figures which look a lot smaller, so I'm guessing these ones are the regular ones and these ones are all the Mega ones, by the looks of it, although this one is the X as well. I don't know. We don't know. This isn't a comprehensive list of all these figures, but here we see we have that other weird snake bat creature. We got a couple of other Godzillas and the Skullcrawler, so that's all confirmed. That might be another Mechagodzilla in here. And we got Kong with his axe, a smaller version. So I'm thinking the Mega ones are just the big ones. That's what I'm assuming. Super interesting, guys. The funny thing is, I remember many months ago, there was so many, like, some really intense discussions on some of the Facebook groups about whether Mechagodzilla would fit in the MonsterVerse or not, and lots of people had really polarizing opinions. My opinion was basically, yeah, it's outlandish, but if it's done right, then they can do anything, pretty much. It just depends how it's done, like... But, you know, well, we'll see. It might be done like crap. It might be done really well. We don't really know. We don't know much at this point, to be honest, even with these spoilers. Apparently there were test screenings done a little while back, which I am royally pissed that nobody invited me to, because, god damn it, I would absolutely kill to be at one of those test screenings. And apparently they said that the film was really good and gonna match all our expectations and all that stuff, yada yada yada. I don't know whether I believe them yet. I don't think they can possibly top King of the Monsters. King of the Monsters made me very happy. And at the very least, if this film is garbage, then at least we'll have King of the Monsters out of this entire trilogy. I'm not that big a fan of 2014, as a lot of you guys know, but at least King of the Monsters will always be with us. I think that's the last image I have for you guys. So yeah, I'll do a video when the trailer drops. So again, sometime this month or early next month, so April... or early May, so this whole virus epidemic that's going on, and like all the films that aren't coming out in the middle of this year have been pushed to the end of this year, so it's going to be really crowded with movies, and it's not looking good. I feel like they should possibly postpone this film yet again, just to make sure they are able to actually get a good financial backing for it, which I know is sad because we all want to see this film as soon as possible. But I would definitely rather this film actually do well and we get a sequel or something else than this series to just kind of end as as this, well, 4 films, I guess. So not a trilogy, but a quadruple bloople. We did have this Kong Skull Island film, which is technically part of this whole universe. That's, obviously with Kong here. But, we'll see how it pans out. So thank you guys for watching this video and going through all these spoilers. I'm sorry if you guys weren't prepared for this and now you feel like the movie's been ruined for you. No, I did warn you. I did warn you. And yeah, that's probably it for this video, guys. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you know like even more information about the film and stuff like that, don't let me know. I'm not actually actively looking for spoilers. I just kind of gave in because there were people saying like, okay, look, there's photos of these going around online. Please don't post these on all the groups. And I'm like, I'm probably going to see these eventually. So maybe just I asked the people about them and I got sent some. But I'm not actively actually searching for spoilers. It's just these were pretty public, if that makes sense. So I didn't want to accidentally stumble upon these. I'd prefer to just actively be like, okay, give me some spoilers. But right now, I don't want any more, if that makes sense. I'm waiting till the trailer drops, then I'll be satisfied. In fact, I prefer if the trailer doesn't reveal too much. As much as I would like to just see more of the film as it is now, I like trailers that don't show a lot. I really don't like trailers that like show the whole freaking movie, because then it's like, oh, what's the point? But yeah, that is it for this video, guys. See you in the next one. Peace out. May all your vinyl be your radiated vinyl. Bye.